and welcome to the Generation Logistics podcast. In this episode, we're talking about innovation and technological transformation. My name is Hope Ellen, and to help me talk about this topic, I'm joined by two fantastic guests. Let's start off by hearing your name and the role you currently do, starting with you.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Claire and I'm Head of Innovation at Wincanton Logistics.
Fantastic.
I'm Chantal and I'm a Technology Change Manager at Asda.
Okay, so when you hear the term innovation, what is it you think of? Chantal?
I just think of different ways of doing what we're doing already, so maybe using different systems, making our current processes better than what they are, and leveraging some of our resources.
And why is innovation important within the sector?
I'd say innovation is important in the sector because supply chain, no days are the same. As we progress into the future, tasks are, obviously evolving. More demand, for labour and things like that are also evolving.
Claire, how long have you been working within the sector?
This year will be my 25th year in logistics, 19 of which have been in Wincanton.
Fantastic. So in that 25 years, you would have seen a lot of changes from staff coming and going or technological advancements. So let's talk about that. Give me a few examples of things that have changed.
And the transformation has been huge. When I first joined the sector, a lot of the processes were manual, paper-based. The systems we had were quite clunky and didn't integrate well with our customers and suppliers and were quite a difficult user experience. And technology has completely transformed the logistics sector and the services we can offer to our customers in the last 25 years. Some examples are the move to cloud-based computing is hugely transformational. There's some really sophisticated optimization software that helps us run our warehouses and deliver transport plans more efficiently and also more sustainably. So that's huge. The other big change has been how easy it is to interface with our customers and suppliers. That's so much easier now. And just the whole user experience of technology has completely changed. And what that's enabled us to do is be adaptable to the changing customer needs, so things like the rise of e-commerce, the demand for sustainable delivery options, just the pace of change that we can just adapt to more easily now with the tools in hand.
When it comes to the supply chain, have people always kind of welcomed those advancements and that change, or has there been pushback?
I think there's a mix really, and I'm sure Chantal will talk about this afterwards in her role with delivering technology change. Some people are early adapters and some people thrive on change and are willing to embrace new technology. Other people are slightly more risk averse. So I think there's a whole broad mix. What I think is important with any digital transformation is getting the culture right and explaining the why to people. If people understand why we're introducing new technology, what problems we're looking to solve, how it's going to help people in their roles, how it's going to deliver a better service to the end customer, they're more happy to adapt to it. Would you say so in your role?
I definitely agree. An example of that is within TU, the role that I'm currently doing as a Technology Change Manager, we have agile ways of working. So, for example, we have our own Dropbox system in Asda stores, so that essentially allows customers to come in and return their ASOS parcels, Boohoo parcels, and so forth. So with that, we have full control of whatever functions we want on that system. So for example, we only recently realized that, we need to add an extra button for when our QR codes aren't scanning and customers need help. So essentially we added that button in. Customers now have the option to click won't scan. And when we've asked in store, have you found this extra button useful? They have obviously agreed. They said, yes, it's useful because it's saving me time. I don't have to have, extra manual help from a colleague and so forth. So I'd say definitely customers within the industry are welcoming the new technological advancements because they're essentially enhancing their customer experience, and it's obviously saving time and also, enhancing the journey, I guess. So
That's a really interesting example because you've demonstrated there that technology can sometimes not go right, or it could be better. So it's all about developing and keeping on improving and listening to your customers' needs. Is that right?
Yes, most certainly. It's about listening to the customer's needs. And I think within the sector, it's about knowing what it is that needs to be developed before there is a need or before someone raises it. And part of my role and my team is essentially looking at the systems that we currently have. How can we make it better? You know, we don't have to essentially wait for a customer to complain and say, well, I had a terrible customer experience because, the QR code wasn't working. It's just a matter of always thinking on the go, how can we make this process a little bit shorter, quicker, increase the customer satisfaction. So that's what I'd say about that.
The world is advancing so quickly with technology. If logistics didn't develop too, what would we see, Claire?
I think we'd see unsatisfied customers. They could see technology changes happening in other sectors and more clunky experiences from their logistics providers. As an example, if you think about the world of Domino's Pizza and Uber and the delivery experience and the visibility that people get, if we're not giving people that for their parcels or their deliveries, they'd see the industry as falling behind. So I think that's critical, that we meet the changing customer experiences. And we've got to move in time with the way that people want to live, work, shop and play. Logistics is moving things from A to B to enable people to live their lives. So we need to adapt what we do to fit with that and adapt the systems and the technology in place.
Living life also refers to the way that people work.
Yes.
And there is always a fear with technology and advancements that can lead to people having fewer jobs. It's always been a conversation, hasn't it? In sci-fi films and what have you. So is that the case? Are we losing roles to technology, or are they coming up with new ones?
They're definitely coming up with new roles. Lots of different roles for engineers, data scientists, roles such as that, change managers, project managers, but also the traditional roles in logistics haven't gone away. In one of our most advanced automated sites, we still employ 900 people. So there are definitely still roles for people. People and robots work hand in hand. So robots is often used as an example of the robots are coming to take away people's jobs. Actually, they're making those jobs more accessible. Robots can bring the product to the warehouse picker to pick rather than the picker walking up and down aisles. What that means is that role's more accessible to people. We can have ergonomic mats for people to stand on. We can adjust the picking stations to their height. So we can make the role of warehouse colleagues a lot more accessible to many more people. People can work part-time in those roles. And what we find is people embrace the robots like a colleague. For example, in our warehouse in Northampton, the colleagues have named the robots after music stars. So you can have Madonna or Queen or Bowie sailing past you, and they're like members of the team. They're like their colleagues.
That's wild. Is that an experience that you've had, Chantel?
I would say, yeah, I definitely agree with that statement that Claire's mentioned. I would say, essentially, jobs aren't essentially being lost. In fact, technology is actually here to eliminate some of that manual labor that was there. So, like, there's some tasks that you find even in a day-to-day working, maybe in offices, you might find that there's a better way of doing this, automating it using computer systems. It saves time, and it also allows that time to be, repurposed elsewhere as well. Like, even in our operations, if you look at in our NSC, we have geek robots that they work in the AMR. So essentially, they're literally just getting the parcels from when they're put through the chute, and they're dispensing them to the different third-party clients so that they're sorted. So if you look at that, if a colleague was doing that, it's time consuming just due to the volumes of parcels coming in on a day-to-day basis. And all these are all tasks that not a lot of colleagues would want to essentially do. So I think essentially there's positives to that. And, as people start looking at it as a benefit, I wouldn't personally, I'm happy that, technology is advancing, because I wouldn't want to be, the one that's, doing the manual sorting. But if there's, the geek robots, let's use them, let's use it to our advantage, save time, cut operational costs and so forth, and improve efficiency.
Claire, talk to me about technology and sustainability. Do they come together? Do they work hand in hand, or are they opposing factors?
I would say technology is critical for us to achieve our sustainability goals. A few examples I can give you are transport optimization. So that we have systems that help us to more efficiently route and schedule our vehicles, which means that we're running less empty and we're also running with fuller vehicles, all of which is taking traffic off the roads and reducing our use of fuel. And the computing power to make those optimization decisions quickly are critical to reducing our road mileage. Another example is technology removes manual processes where we're using lots of paper, which again is a waste factor. And the other piece for me is around visibility. Systems give us visibility, which means we can make better decisions about greener transport routes, more efficient processes, and giving our customers options for different delivery windows and greener transport routes. So technology is absolutely critical in us achieving our sustainability goals.
Chantel, would you like to add to anything Claire just said there?
Yes, I'd say as well, a lot of companies now are also looking at the initiative of electrical vehicles. That's obviously, without the technological advancements, we wouldn't have these electrical vehicles. So I'd say that's also another way that, you know, technology and sustainability are supporting each other with the initiatives that have been set out.
And if sustainability is something that you want to know more about, we have actually got an episode within this series all about sustainability and ethics within the sector. So do keep an eye out for that episode. Talk to me about kind of financial side of things with technology, Claire. How do they work together? Because, I mean, one side of it could be if you're getting robots to do jobs, you're not paying for manual labour, but then technology costs a lot of money. So how does that work?
Yeah, there always is a financial decision to make because we're businesses. I would say the key thing is looking at the return on investment, and that's not just financial, that's also in terms of sustainability. Are we reducing carbon through this investment? And also to consider people. Are we going to improve our safety by making this investment? What I'd suggest we often do is a test and learn pilot, which involves a smaller investment where we might trial something for 10 weeks to see if it works and to validate our assumptions. And then everything that we do in terms of technology investments is a business case that sits behind that. Some of them may reduce headcount, but we would always look to deploy those into other areas.
With new innovations coming into place all the time as the technological advancements happen, are you expected to research yourself within your role, or are you trained consistently on new technology? Chantel?
For me and my team, it's a matter of we're consistently working and looking at the different technology that's available to us and ready to implement within our day-to-day working or ready to implement in stores for the good customer experience.
So you have to look yourselves for that?
Yeah, essentially we look ourselves within our teams, and with the management.
And what does that give you a sense of?
It gives us an understanding of what that system really is and its capabilities. We get to match it up to see, does it meet the requirements of what the business wants, and does it also meet the requirements of what the customer would essentially want, and then we just essentially go from there. And if it does, then, you know, it's a perfect fit for the business essentially.
And when that is complete, do you feel a sense of pride that you've actually had a direct input in improving a technological advancement or an innovation?
Yes, 100%. One thing I've enjoyed so far since working with Asda as a technology change manager is actually being able to go into store and see that, oh, me and my colleagues worked on this feature for the Dropbox and it's now up and running. You know, it gives a sense of pride essentially, and it's good for like motivation. It's just nice to see, you know, where all our hard work's gone, because advancing technology is not easy, and working on an agile basis is not easy either, because obviously no day is the same. Everything is continuously changing. You know, a button might break and that's a major incident. So it's a good experience just knowing that we did that. You know, we overcame the challenges and we made it happen.
It sounds really challenging, but really satisfying.
Yes, it is.
So that's Chantel's experience. Tell me about yours, Claire. So we've heard your experience, Chantel. Claire, what's yours?
We run a structured innovation programme to help us test and learn about new technologies, and it's really exciting because we approach it in several different ways. So one of the things that we do is we run a global search for startups. So we give some quite broad themes, so things like visibility, robotics, AI, and then we search the globe for startups doing really new transformational things. And we bring them to Wincanton and get them to pitch Dragon's Den style. And then we select 5 or 6 a year to work with on 10-week proof of concepts. So that means we're really at the cutting edge of innovation. Then we also work with some of our more established suppliers and really working hand in hand to give them operational use cases for them to address within their R&D departments. So 2 really different ways to innovate, which are really exciting.
So you really are at the heart of it, aren't you? And this innovation, you're having a direct impact.
Definitely, and when you're at the start of the journey, you do have to prepare yourself for some learnings and some failures because what you're working with is quite new. But when something works out, it's really exciting because you're one of the first to bring it to market and test that technology. And it also means that we can mentor and give our industry experience to startups and help them develop their product, which is really exciting.
You're saying the words challenges and failures, but you're smiling whilst you're saying that. Why is that?
Because there's always something to learn from a failure, and there's always some satisfaction from a challenge. Innovation isn't easy. Because you're bringing something new to market, you're enacting a change in processes and people. So a lot of the time it is a challenging environment, but an exciting one too.
Have you got an example of when it's not gone quite right?
We've tried lots of things, maybe software that's in its early stages that hasn't worked within our environment, or things that are maybe a little bit too early to market, that probably in 2 years' time will be absolutely great, and we've given them some feedback and they'll come back to the marketplace with their 2.0, as we say.
And earlier on you mentioned AI, so artificial intelligence. How is that used in your role?
So artificial intelligence and machine learning have been around for quite a long time, but recently I think the pace of change has developed so fast and there's quite a lot of interest in AI. So I think there's a lot of use cases for AI in logistics and supply chain. One of the things for me would be around predictive analytics and forecasting. Also, transport optimization. So, for example, you could use AI to say when is the best time we should send that vehicle out today to minimize congestion, as an example. I think there's big use cases in labor forecasting and planning. One example that we've got at the moment is we're using artificial intelligence to interrogate Google Maps. And what that's enabling us to do is to select the right size of vehicle for home delivery to customers. So if you imagine you're getting a sofa delivered and you live on a really narrow street, if we send a normal delivery vehicle down that street, it won't get down that street, so you don't get your sofa. So we could use AI to look at the Google Maps images and then give us a prediction of what vehicle should go down that street. Equally, if you're on a big street and we send a small vehicle, we've missed the chance to send a bigger vehicle with more stock on it and therefore reduce road mileage. So that's an example where someone previously might have been interrogating those maps and looking at them manually. We're now going to use AI.
That's a really cool example, and sustainability is just screaming at me in both of those examples.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Chantel, artificial intelligence, is there anything that you wanted to add to what Claire said? How does it work within your role?
Within my role, I would say going back to the geek robots that we have in the AMR that automatically, allocate the returns parcels into the different palletainer's within the depot. That's an example of what we're currently doing at the moment. Then there's obviously some other artificial intelligence pieces that are probably going to be in the works soon as we're adapting to the market. But as of now, even with my day-to-day job, I'm looking at different ways that I can automate some of my, for example, my sheets that I use on a regular basis, like Excel, and creating dashboards and things like that. So there's definitely a lot that is, being worked on behind the scenes.
Are you scared of AI?
No, I'm not scared of AI. I'm actually quite excited to be working with AI in the future. It's trending in the market, and I definitely think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities and improve a lot of, efficiencies and processes, and where things might not be working as well. So we'll definitely see that happening, and I'm excited to be, involved in that in the future.
We're in this wonderful environment today where we're recording this. It's an innovation centre, and there are bits and bobs dotted around, including VR headsets. Claire, what are they for?
The VR is part of our immersive training programme. So with VR specifically, we do our fire safety training, which means people can put a VR headset on and then basically go through the procedures that you would if there was a fire. So what it's enabling people to do in an immersive environment is find the fire exit, raise the alarm, call 999, decide whether or not to fight the fire, and if they choose to fight the fire, pick the correct fire extinguisher and put out the fire in VR. Now that's quite a mundane thing to teach in a classroom. But what VR does is it immerses them into the experience. It makes them feel like they're actually in the experience. And then we hope in the unfortunate event that there is a real fire, because they've had such immersive training, they will remember those steps in the right order, because things like identifying where the fire exit is first is really critical to make sure they know how to get out safely. So it puts people under that slight stress level by gamifying it to make sure they're fully prepared for the eventuality that they might have to use those skills. We also have VR for things like warehouse picking. So we're able to take the headsets to schools and colleges, and they can put the headsets on and they're inside a warehouse and can see what the roles are like for a picker. So there's a real place for those immersive technology experiences, because people really respond to gamification.
I think we can all agree that sounds more fun than sitting in a classroom with a whiteboard having a long old safety talk. But with that in mind, there has got to be an element of safety with using VR. You've got to be in the right environment, haven't you? So you're not hurting anyone. Or if you are under that stress, it's about helping people not feel too much anxiety. How do you measure that and manage that?
Absolutely, and the VR training is only delivered by really experienced trainers, and the VR element of the training can be optional. So what people can do when they're using VR is cast to a screen. So if you didn't want to wear the headset yourself, you can watch other people engage in the activity. And we're very mindful that you have got the headset on, so you don't know what's around you, that we make people feel comfortable, that they know there's no obstructions in their way, or nobody's taking photos of them or anything like that. And I think that's where mixed reality might come in, whereby things like augmented reality. So we're starting to look at that. So what you're doing with augmented reality is you're mixing the real world and the digital world. So it still means that you can see what's in the real world, but you may be using a device to scan on a trigger that brings a digital element into your real world. And that can help people that perhaps find VR too immersive.
Okay, it's really good to know that there are different things in place to support each individual.
Absolutely, and we employ 20,000 people, and we want to keep them all safe, and we want to keep them all trained and developed. So looking for immersive ways to gamify or make training and learning more interesting is really critical. And there's so much technology out there now that we can do that.
Have you had an opportunity to measure data to show that that's been a success introducing VR?
Yes, we would evaluate every training course at the end, and we can compare that to the results of when we was delivering training on a more traditional classroom basis. And a lot of people, particularly younger people coming into the sector, find it more immersive.
Chantel, are these headsets something that you've experienced at your place of work, or if not, would you like to?
This is something that I haven't experienced yet in my workplace, but it's I'll definitely like to experience it. I definitely feel like having a virtual reality or fire training is useful because it's, it makes it less boring for the colleagues, because normally modules like that are meant to take the whole day, but at least if you have the aspect of virtual reality, it's making it a bit more interesting, and the knowledge will definitely last a while longer with the colleagues rather than sitting in front of a computer and watching the videos and just clicking through.
Technological advancements will have happened at your place of work. We've spoken about that in detail. How has that improved the efficiency and productivity of your colleagues and yourself?
It definitely has improved the efficiency, especially at the depot. We're finding that, there's a higher pick rate. We're getting more parcels through the door at a quicker pace and, so forth. But with my colleagues within my team, I'd also say that with the technological advancements that we have, it's making our lives easier. And like I mentioned earlier, we're saving a lot of time and other tasks that we're able to repurpose elsewhere as well.
Claire, talk to me about centralisation and collaborative working between departments. Has that improved due to innovation?
Definitely. Software has absolutely transformed collaboration, whether that's Zooms or Microsoft Teams calls, meaning you can see people and avoid people traveling to meetings. That is huge. People are getting so much time back in their day because they can join a meeting using Teams or Zoom or whatever other package that you might use in different businesses. That on its own is transformational. You couple that with collaboration software, which means everybody can see the same data at the same time, and dashboards can be tailored to different people's job roles and views. It's absolutely huge, transformational in the way people work.
And of course, I imagine it brings departments together, but if you've got different business areas in different parts of the world, it brings all of those places together too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So when I work with the startups, it could be different times of the day, but we're all on the video calls, and it feels like the world's just so much more connected that you could be working with someone in the States, completely different times of the day, but you're on a video call together, collaborating on the same files, sharing videos, sharing dashboards. It's really incredible.
Now, of course, no one knows for sure what the future holds, but I want you both to tell us what you think the sector will look like in the next few years. Chantal?
I'll definitely say there'll be a lot more automation. We'll find that a lot of can I start again? I definitely think that there'll be a lot more automation, like especially in warehouses, from the different, racking systems that are being used, from the material handling equipment, the picking styles. Would definitely say that will definitely change as well in the future. From, the transport, the routes will be optimized. It will be a case where it's a computer, like Claire has mentioned. We'll find that in wider organizations, there'll be a computer that will be planning out the routes and making sure that there's a lot of efficiency and cost savings going on. I'd say, yeah, technology will definitely be taken over, but, it will be at a steady pace whilst also making sure that there's manual jobs that are still being done as well.
Claire, what would you like to add to that?
I think the two things that really interest me is, one is smart cities, and the second is a kind of connected landscape of technology. So if I come on to that first, at the moment we've got lots of pieces of technology, maybe robotics, RFID tags and sensors. But what will really make a transformational difference is, and people call it the Internet of Things, where everything is connected and talking to each other at the same time, possibly through a digital twin. So we've got a really holistic view of everything being connected. I think taking that to the next level will be really transformational. And I think smart cities as well. So the final mile is quite carbon heavy at the moment. You only have to look around to see all the delivery vehicles up and down the street. So I think there needs to be a lot more work done in terms of how do we make that final mile more sustainable, whether it's through more alternative fuels, better transport planning, perhaps smart street lights, people being advised of times of day to go for routes, through to pavement robots, maybe even drones. Or perhaps people are even 3D printing in their own house rather than buying something and having it delivered.
Well, it's a very exciting time that we're going to be living in. So why is it an exciting time to join the sector? Claire?
In logistics, you can make a difference to people's lives. You're impacting the way people live, work, play, shop, and enabling people to live their lives. And I think that's really exciting. And behind the transport and the warehouses that everybody sees, innovation and technology absolutely underpins that. People wouldn't have food on their plate if it wasn't for the technology and innovation in logistics. So if you want to come and work where you can make a difference to people's lives, logistics and technology, specifically in logistics, is the place to be.
Chantel, if someone listening to this is excited about the future, they love technology, why is this sector a good fit for them?
I would say that no day is the same, and that's one of the main reasons why I would join the sector. Every day is different because there's always a different challenge or a different opportunity, and with the way technology is advancing, I feel like we're going to see greater things beyond AI, so I'd say join the sector due to that reason.
Well, Chantel and Claire, thank you so much for such a thought-provoking conversation. I've really, really enjoyed it. And I hope that you have too. Thank you for joining us for this episode, and make sure you keep an eye out for the rest of the series.